All right. Well, welcome everybody. Oh, John's on. Welcome to today's another great session, Speaker Skills Academy. Mark and I have a fun one today on adaptability. Before I even say anything about adaptability, tell me what you all think about it. A, are you excited to hear about today's? B, do you know what it means?
B, is that a trick question that if we say we know what it means, you're going to show us that we really don't?
I don't know. What do you think it means, Karen?
Oh, the ability to change to your environment. I guess would be the scientific term, probably.
Yeah, it's awesome. Ability to change to your environment. Anybody else have anything? I mean, Karen, you pretty much nailed it. Karen's kind of a walking encyclopedia, dictionary, thesaurus. So, she's a good one out of the gate to just be like, yeah, she kind of nailed it. How do you all think it would be good in speaking, being able to adapt to your environment?
Like when they tell you that you have a 40-minute speech to do, and then they say something happened and you only have 10 minutes to do the same speech.
Oh, hell yeah, Lorraine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Adaptability, a lot of people sometimes think about.
She'll be here Tuesday. My cousin, remember Goonie, saw that.
Hold on.
Thanks, Rose.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, Rose, I had to mute you. Lorraine, that's such a good one because I think that a lot of times people think you have to adapt to the people in the room, but sometimes you have to adapt to the circumstances. So well done, my friend, for bringing in that one. And that's a hard one.
Yeah, that is a hard one.
It's a super hard one, especially if you're getting paid to speak and for no fault of your own, your time was cut. You have to be professional and you have to cut it.
Well, we had an exercise in this forum where we had to shorten our speech. I kind of feel like we had an exercise like that.
I kind of feel like that, Mark. It sounds like something you might do.
So two little things that happened to me. One, I was told that there would be a teleprompter, and so I prepared that way. And they said, "Sorry, that fell through." As I'm like walking on the stage.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. And then the other one is that during the speech, they started serving dinner.
Oh,
no.
Oh, that's when you have
and I'm like,
really?
I've never seen people just eat while someone's talking. And I'm like, okay. So that's two things that happened at within 15 minutes where I was like, what is happening here that I was not ready for?
Trevor's like, what the hell?
So I had a work speech sorry, you were saying something.
No, go ahead, Lorraine, go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah, I was just jumping off of what Trevor said. I had a work speech that I had to deliver, and it was on a very important day. Like I was the hostess for the entire day and everything, right? So I was like, Lorraine, you know your life is fucked up. You know that shit's about to go down. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go as soon as I got in that morning, and this is an office I don't normally report to. So I went to I was like, here's the printer, blah, blah, blah. I saw the 7 o'clock people there. So I was like, all right, good. So I was like, if I email you a speech, or some speeches, because it was everyone else's speech too, can you print it out for me? Sure enough, the system went down. So I got the craziest accolades afterwards when we were doing our postmortem back at the office. I got the craziest accolades because they were like, why would you think of doing that? I was like, because shit happens to me. That's how my life is. So, yeah.
Yes. And Lorraine, I'm glad you said that because one of the first things I want to teach us today, I want us to think about this. This is something that I think is really critical. And before I tell you the critical thing, I want everybody to wave at Rose. This is Rose's first time on. Say hello to Rose. Rose is actually sitting we share an office space together, and Rose is sitting somewhere else in this office space. One thing that I think is critical, we should always, especially if it's like a professional speaking engagement, like Lorraine and Trevor, what you described, you should always gauge how any particular event is going to go down by what could go wrong. You should start there. Always start there. Don't ever start from all the things you need that are your crutches. Don't start with like, oh, I have a slide deck. You should think about what you'll do if that slide deck doesn't work. You should think about what you'll do if the visuals work, but the audio doesn't. You should think about what you'll do if the audio works and the visual doesn't. You should think about what you'll do, Trevor, if people start eating in the middle of you talking, right? You should think about all the things that could go wrong. So y'all are great. You went from like level 1 to 7,000 immediately. And I love that about this group, is that adapting is to so many things. Adapting can be your actual content. It could be time. It could be just something that happened in the room. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So I have a client that has hired me to coach her in her company. And she's been a client for years. And she had a niece that, oh, Mark, I'm just seeing your things too, right? Ability to adjust to the mood of the room. I love that. The energy. Yeah. And you hate competing with food. And Rose, you have beautiful glasses. I agree with that, Teresa. So this client of mine, her niece works for a nonprofit, and she was going to be running the part where you ask for money. And she's like, oh, my niece has never been on a stage. She's freaking out. And she's really young, right? She's in her early 20s. And it was kind of a hard thing that the organization's like they're almost putting her on blast a little bit to even ask her to do it. And, I don't know why I thought about this, y'all, but when I was coaching her, she was going to be doing it at the Heathman in downtown Portland. And I told her, I said, one thing that you should consider is that, because I learned this in NSA, is that when you're the speaker and you're the head of the room and you have the mic, you're in charge of that room. You're in charge of what happens. If emergency were to happen, if a fire alarm went off, you're the one that can control people because you have the loudest voice, you have you're mic'd, so you can help people figure out where the exits are and what to do. And so I was trying to really give it to her more as like, you're in control. So I was kind of telling her that. Can you believe what happened? Fire alarm went off when she was doing her thing at the Heathman. Somebody in one of the rooms lit a candle or something in it. Fire alarm went off for everybody. And you know what? She was like, I was ready for that because of what you said. So I love that we're having this conversation about things that can go wrong, things that have to adjust, adaptability. Anything else that anybody can think about? Somebody that maybe hasn't spoke yet. Teresa, John, Cindy.
Yeah, I've had times where what we were supposed to talk about changed as the meeting went along. And so you have to adapt what you were going to speak about to kind of what is happening at that moment. So even though it's the same subject matter in general, like the overarching things got so specific that when it was my turn to speak, I had to readjust everything I was going to talk about and repoint what I had prepared to fit the flow of what was happening in the room at the time.
You got to change it in the moment.
Yeah.
How many of you would feel very uncomfortable with that? A little bit, right?
I think it depends on how you're like what the subject is or how, I mean, for me, I've been in that situation where I've been doing like, I've been speaking, but it's like more of a training thing and it's a subject I'm really comfortable with. I'm okay with like changing directions. But if it's something that I was more like, this is a prepared thing and this is what I was planning on doing, and then all of a sudden it had to change, I think that would make me maybe uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a good point, Cindy. And I think, George, I'll have you go after Rose, but Rose already had her hand up. So Rose and then George.
Thanks. And thanks for having me. Nice to meet y'all. Kind of piggybacking on what Teresa said, right, is at least from my perspective, a lot of times I feel like working in tech, there's things that change like so quickly. And so if I have something to present that's like all about the state of the art and then the state of the art changes, it's like, oh shit, let me add that note or strike this paragraph altogether because it's suddenly moved. And I think that's a lot of like thinking on the toes of adaptability for sure.
Love that, Rose. I love that. I love that we're even in this mind frame that we can even talk about it, because I always think it's good to talk about something before it happens. Because then if you are in that moment, you're like, we'll have the best, outcome. George.
Imagine 5 a.m. Nurses coming off their shift. I'm paid to go in there and deliver their training. We're all in the hallway, and the room changes. They're asking me questions. They want to go home, falling asleep. So all these things that I didn't expect prior to the gig, and what that did to my ability to work with a tough crowd, because I didn't realize that the rest of that contract for 6 months was going to be that nurses coming off of their shift, tired, and I'm there to facilitate a workshop, a seminar for 6 hours with breaks. So another shift, right? So yeah.
Wow. Wow, George. Oh my
Believe it.
gosh. Talk about adapting. John.
Yeah, well, I'm not a professional speaker, but I happen to be married to one. And one thing that I have noticed with her is, she's got several topics that she kind of like delivers across many different customers. But what she'll do is kind of adapt the customer. She'll find out like the customer values or the messages they want to deliver. And she'll even do one session and then get feedback and then build a whole new tool on an airplane on a flight to England, or she'll basically adjust what she's delivering based on the needs of the client, but it's kind of almost modular, but very, very powerful for delivering so just being adaptable in what you're delivering to your audience, I think is the main call out.
Yeah, that's so good, John. Yeah, Mark.
One of the most stressful times when I had to adapt was I had applied to speak at a conference and I didn't hear anything back from them. So I didn't want to spend my muscles thinking about this workshop if I wasn't going to be doing it. And then 2 days before the conference, I saw the email that I missed, which was sent weeks prior, that I now had to present at this conference. And I hadn't done this presentation in over a year. And now I'm stressing in the last 24 to 48 hours to try to figure it out. And I don't even feel like I've got a good command of it. So I know I'm going to really have to adapt on the spot. And connected to the story you shared earlier, Kathy, probably about 20 minutes in, the alarm goes off. And it's downtown Manhattan. 9/11 is still sort of fresh in people's heads, and nobody's trying to stick around for the announcement of, sit still. Nobody. Everybody ran out of that hotel. And then it turned out that it was a false alarm. But then when we came back in, I probably only had about 15 minutes left of a 60-minute training session. And so I really had to learn how to adapt really quick. So it's a really important skill.
I love that, Mark. Wow. So, just hearing some of our stories, even George's story where he shows up and he has to talk to a bunch of tired nurses for another whole shift, 6 hours. Oh my gosh. And alarms going off. And then Cindy, I saw your thing about you were in a room where the electricity went out. So I love that some of the things are happening actually in the environment itself. And Leffert, hi, welcome. I'm sure Leffert, you have some great stories about having to adapt or adjust as well. So if you want to chime in, feel free. But I love some of the things that are coming up, because I think the low-hanging fruit is the audience, which is good. It's the thing that we can affect the most. But there's so many things that have to do with the audience. Has to do with who they are, what company they work with, what even the culture of that company. Like if you're talking to a company, I'll never forget one of the times when I first started working at Nike, and John works at Nike, he might know this. There's a kind of culture at Nike where everybody wants to be their best. And so sometimes you go and you do like workshops and people don't want to talk. Like people don't want to engage. I feel like it's a weird thing. Like it's, oh, my boss might be in the room, or what if I say a wrong thing? And so you have to kind of understand some of these things, but some of these environmental things are happening around us as well that we can't control, but we have to be able to adapt. Anybody else have anything before I take us to our first drill?
I mean, I know that Ledford and I had lived a life of being adaptive to things that come from the military, and that what that life feels like of never knowing what's going to happen every day. So I know that he feels that, and definitely there's a lot of stories of adjusting to something new and new directives and new missions.
Yeah, Trevor, on that note, I just had a client that just had a baby and she came back. And she hired me to do this gig. And then she's like, oh, the client just moved it. This is so frustrating. She texted me last night and she goes, this is not more painful than having a baby. So I'm okay. And I laughed because I was thinking about her adaptability changed in the moment. She's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna stress about it. I just had a baby. Nothing's more painful than that. All right, the first drill that we're gonna do, I love this one. We're gonna play what I call the convention and reaction game. What it is I'm gonna put you all in a room with 2 other people. So there's gonna be 3 people. And what I want you to do is one of you is going to be leading a convention. You can think of the convention. Maybe this is the ADA and it's the American Dental Association convention. Maybe it's the convention of cheerleaders. Maybe it's convention for machine shop owners, veterinarians, whatever. One person is going to be the speaker at this convention. They're going to be the keynoter. So it will be the other 2 partners' jobs to play the reactors. They're going to react to what you're saying. And your job as the keynoter, you can tell any story you want. It can be about anything that you want, because you could be giving a keynote and be telling a personal story. So the story can be anything that you want it to be. Your job, though, is to think about what your partners, because they're going to be the ones that give you what kind of convention it is. So they're going to tell you what kind of convention it is. And then when you start talking, and I would love everyone who is a convention speaker, just talk for a couple minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, tell a little story. But it's your job to watch their reaction, and you have to adjust on their reaction. Now, the people that are reactors, it's your job to overreact, okay? Throw them for a loop, give them something, maybe go, oh my God, there's a fire, and unmute, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can throw anything you want at them, okay? Some of the things that we talked about, you have to give them a chance to adapt. Does that make sense, everybody? So it's the convention and reaction game. Karen's already reacting. She's like, oh boy. All right.
Hey, Kathy, we have 10 people. Do we want to do 2 groups of 3 and 1 group of 4?
Yeah, good
All
point.
right.
We have 12 people with you and I, but we're going to be here. So that sounds good. I'll do 3. Perfect. Any questions to that? So again, people, when you go into the room, decide who's going to speak first, and the other 2's job is to give them, what kind of convention that they're at, and then you're the reactor. Everybody a couple minutes. So I'm going to put. Trevor, is your laugh a question or is it just a laugh?
No, it just it reminds me of this show I watched, that this convention that is what I'm going to ask for someone to do.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to put you in rooms. We'll bring you back about 10 to 12 minutes to give everybody a couple minutes to go. Have fun, y'all.
Hecklers, yeah, that's
Have
absolutely
fun.
right.
Yeah, heckler. Definitely be a heckler.
Boo!
So funny.
Trevor's gonna have fun with this.
No, have you seen the Sandman?
From Apollo?
No. Sandman, it's Neil Gaiman's thing. It's a serial convention, but it's for serial killers.
No, I have not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's weird. Yeah, it's funny though. All right.
All right.
All right.
Good. All right. How was, yeah, Trevor, exactly. How was it? How was that, y'all?
Lefford committed suicide in my pitch.
Wait, what'd you say?
Oh, man.
That's a good one. I didn't think of that.
Who did it though? I missed who you said did it.
You said Lefford.
Oh, Lefford.
He left out a lot of context.
I'm like, really?
Oh,
Did all the rooms?
Lefford, you got me thinking about All in the Family now.
Oh my gosh. Mark and I, when you guys are gone, we have the funniest conversations too. We're just talking about things that happen and things that go on. How did it feel to be the person reacting? You're working on like giving the reactions. So did people go pretty bold with the reactions? Were people good at it? Like, give me a thumbs up if you did.
Well, other than the suicide thing, I mean,
That's right, Lefford. Like that's
I
pretty.
didn't do that.
Were you like?
Teresa was really good.
Yeah.
Was she reacting? Nice. Trevor, what were you gonna say?
I just think like conceptually it's hard to react to something that you're being told and like put it in your brain. But like my son walks in, right? And I think that like I gotta let's use him as an example of like how I'm gonna like say like this, like someone just randomly walked up on me on stage and like I'm like, what? Well, hi, nice to see you. Thanks for coming up here and talking to me. It's time for you to go. Like it's not your time yet. Like somebody like happens like that. So I think that actually like happening in your environment is a lot easier to respond to than like you're speaking and then now you're trying to conjure up that idea at the same time and like respond to it.
Yeah, I know. That's why this is the safest place, right? This is why we tried. So one of the things I love to tell people, Trevor, because for anybody who on here doesn't know, Trevor gave a TEDx Portland talk, and I'm one of the coaches at TEDx Portland. Did not get to coach him though. That's a bummer. Somebody else did. But one of the things that I do towards the end is I'm like, I'm going to sit here and you're going to give your whole talk to me. Yeah, it's really weird. You're going to stand up in front of me. This is the weirdest thing that you'll do is giving it to one person. Imagine how much easier it will be to give it to 3,000 because it's just a weird. I want them to deliver it like just like they're giving it to 3,000 people. And so sometimes you put people under duress and I'm going to do things to you. I might interrupt you. I might pick up my phone. I'm going to purposely like try to throw you off because I don't want you to be thrown off when you're standing in front of 3,000 people, So, anybody have any thing that they want to say about what happened? Not too long because I want to get you into the next exercise, but just anything brief that you want to mention besides suicide.
Both George and Cindy were really good at ignoring things,
Oh.
like continuing to speak and then also engaging as you went along. So like Cindy did a really good thing where somebody was trying to ask her a question. She was like, just hold that question, I'll be right back, and then continued on. So that was really good. And then George, he had to deal with a whole lot of unruly people, and he stayed calm, and he brought everybody in and made everybody feel comfortable. So he did a great job.
Oh, I love that. Mark, why were you using shame on you? Why were you doing that?
Such a disruptive group. You all found such ease
shame on
and
you?
comfort in being a disruption. Shame on you.
We asked him to do that, Mark. Come on. All right. No, this is so awesome. I'm glad, y'all. This is the space we want to adapt. So, all right, we're gonna do another exercise. This time you're only gonna go into a room with one other person. So I'm gonna give like just a couple minutes for each person, like maybe 3 to 4, but you don't have to take that long. But this is something I want you to really practice, and Mark and I are gonna do a little demo of it first. I introduced it a couple weeks ago, but it's the concept of only going up or down. And by up or down, I'm going to have one person be the storyteller or the speaker, and the other person is going to be the one that is changing and adjusting in the room. And so if Mark and if I'm the one that's giving him the prompts to go up or down, I'm telling him up means go a little bit more broad in this subject, talk about it on a higher level. If I point down, I want him to get more detailed. I want vivid details. I want more. Okay, and so Mark and I will do a little demo of this. The topic for Mark is going to be basketball. So Mark, you start talking about basketball and then I'm gonna give you prompts.
I am a proud parent of a kid who absolutely loves playing basketball. He's got basketball dreams, hoop dreams, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's really important to have basketball dreams because there are some people who don't have the opportunity, and basketball gives you an opportunity not only to play, but to be a trainer, but to be a physician, to be a coach. My son Jordan has thought about being a coach, but I think if he does not have the opportunity to play pro basketball, what he really wants to do is think about becoming a sports announcer or commentator, which brings a whole level of communication into the sport of basketball or even into athletics. There's a skill of communication that is so magical in terms of making everything happen. And my son Jordan, I think he would be so amazing at this because I've watched him watch basketball, and the capacity of the things that he remembers and the details of games he never watched because he wasn't even born. But he can get all of these statistics. So I think he would be so sharp as a color commentator. And yet it's probably going to be hard to convince my son Jordan, who knows every detail there is. And trust me, he will tell me when I'm wrong, when I think I'm right, but he's the expert in the room. And I think it's really important to be an expert at anything that you do. And what
Okay, Mark, that's
I
good. That's
love-
good. That's good. Poor Mark is like, oh, I'm just going. Mark's like, I'm
Wow.
sweating over here. All right, does that make sense, y'all? You did a great job, Mark. Every time I pointed up, you got to the broader sense of what basketball could do and where it could go. And every time I pointed down, Mark tried to get down to the granular. You can choose however you want to do this, meaning you can choose what details. You can choose a detail that seems to go not only down, but a little off, but kind of stays on the subject where it's just kind of very detailed. But does that make sense, everybody? Anybody have any questions? Okay.
George,
Oh, George, yeah, sorry. What's your question,
So
George?
this wasn't so much about instinctively punching up like energy or
No,
volume.
that's
It's more about, got it. Okay.
yeah, because yeah, George, that's what I used it for last time because I used it punch up the energy, punch down, punch out to the odd where you're trying to grab the audience. Right now, I want you to adjust. Mark, you know where it came from? Mark says that he, as a teacher, when he'd be in the room, kids wouldn't cut him off. You know what they would do? Everything would be on their face. He could tell you by looking at their face, they don't understand what I'm saying at all, or they think I'm lame, right? Or they think like, you know, just by looking at their face. So I want us to be able to practice that. Okay, here we go. We will be back in about 8 minutes. So, you know, let the person go for a while and let them, but you give them a topic, they start talking on it and give them the prompts for up and down. See you all soon.
Yo, mama.
Yeah, what were we talking about, Mark?
Well, first of all, we were talking about people's reactions. It's so crazy that sometimes when you're standing in front of a group and somebody's got this look or their body language, you're picking up on it, and it's like, oh, he looks like he's either completely disinterested. He either thinks I'm a fool or an idiot or a moron. I have no idea what I'm talking about. He's angry, he's pissed off. I don't know what it is, and I feel like I have to adjust. And then you start to figure out as you do this more and more often that there's no universal facial expression, no universal body language. There are people who just kind of have a straight face and they're completely interested. It's just that's how they show it. And sometimes you kind of have to really, I like that, Cindy.
I love that, Cindy. I can't see any of y'all anyway.
Oh man, that actually, Cindy, that actually reminds me when I was in high school in the school plays. I used to take my glasses off on purpose when I would perform. Perfect. You really can't see a thing. And sometimes it's helpful not to misread people's reactions. As a classroom teacher, I had to know that all the time. Just because a kid put their head down doesn't necessarily mean that they're not interested. Although quite often it meant that they were not interested. So how was this up-down thing for everybody?
Easier than the other thing.
Mhm.
Really?
It was hard for me.
Why
All
was
right,
that?
Karen said it was easy. Lorraine said it was hard. I
Lorraine, why
want to hear
was
more.
why is it hard?
Cause I'm just like the Miss Yakety Yak anyway. So I want to tell the whole long story with all the details, and that's just naturally me. So to have to go in and out of making it bigger, making it smaller, it's like so against who I am.
Mm.
So that's why it was hard.
But it's a good muscle to practice, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Anybody else want to share?
It made me immediately think of what you mentioned to us here at Upstart about like the two tracks, right? That your brain, you're like content and then audience. And I noticed like George, I think he's got a hoodie on. He's got like a little bit of an East Coast accent. So I was like, okay, can I like throw something in here to bring it back to him, but still like keep it, more focused or bring it broader as I'm keeping the concept, but also thinking about, is my audience like with me? It was a good trick for my brain.
Love that, Rose. I love that. Yeah.
To play off of Rose, like it made me think about if I was where maybe I have a group that's like a real specific audience. And so I would want to be more detailed versus like somebody would take maybe the same speech I would normally give, and I'm hired to do a group that is a broader audience that I might want to bring it bigger so that doesn't feel so like if I talk to empty nesters, if I'm talking to an empty nester, I might want to be very specific to something with them. But if I'm talking to a room full of people that's, a bunch of women and some of them might have kids, some of them might not, and they might be different ages, then I wouldn't want to be doing as much of that empty nest stuff.
Right.
That's what it made me think of.
Yeah, because some of it's content, right? Like that the content's not going to be good for them. And sometimes it is. I mean, this thing that Rose was talking about, I did like a little piece of a storytelling, my secrets of storytelling. And I was saying, as a speaker, you always have to have the two tracks. The one track is what your story or your content, and the other one is paying attention. The other one has to be like paying attention to what's going on, to the environment, the people, everything around. Bye, John. We knew you had to leave at 3. John, you're lucky you're leaving now because we're about to do a thing called mass chaos. So just be lucky you're taking off. Our next drill is called mass chaos, and we're going to do that in a minute here. But I think one of the things that you always have to do, and Mark, this is the other thing that we talked about that I love, is that when you become really comfortable in speaking in various different places, you start to learn when you can ignore something out or when to bring it in. You kind of get a general feeling for the room. There's a general energy that's going on. So I think some of you heard me say this because this story happened to me in Nashville when I was speaking. There was a lady in the back of the room when I was doing my storytelling workshop, and I recognized something is not okay. And I don't think it has anything to do with me. And the CEO came up to me later and said that there was some kind of family emergency and it looked bad. So I also did not call on her. Normally I see somebody, I would like call on them. They haven't talked. And I knew to stay away from that situation. So I think it also, like, if we're going to 10 up our engagement in how we adapt, we also have to know when to ignore things.
Go ahead, Lefford. I want to hear from Lefford. Then I got a thought.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lefford.
Yep.
Well, it's a question. The thought would be, I would love to have somebody in an audience that would really do this. Because, sometimes I think Lorraine was talking about, you're talking, you're giving too much detail, and it'll be cool to people be like, nah, that's too much. take it up there. It would be cool to get that. So, because we don't really have the feedback, you got to guess, but it would be really interesting to have somebody give that to you so we can adjust on the fly based on the audience.
Have you guys noticed that in the, one of the things that they have as that the reactions in like Zoom, and I know it's in Teams, where you can tell somebody to speed up their talk or slow it down. I don't think anybody ever uses it, but there's a little thing that, it's like, or wrap it up. there should be one that's like, wrap this shit up. Mark, go ahead, you had a thought.
Well, first of all, Leffert, I would be curious to see if in the future, if you prompted or if any of us prompted an audience to do that, that would be an interesting experiment.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. The thought that I had was around Q&A. And I know there was a point where I wouldn't take any questions until I was done. And then I got to a point where it's like, if you have a question, go ahead and ask it. And I find that once you know your material, you can do that. But then you never know what they're going to ask and how it's going to take you on a tangent. And then the ability to answer any random question and then bring it back is a skill that I really learned to appreciate. And I think I learned to appreciate. I always talk about my classroom experience. Let me tell you, as a classroom teacher, kids love it when you go on a tangent because they think, now we don't have to learn. They're like, keep telling us that story. And you have to find a way. They will say all kinds of things to throw you off. So let me tell you something. If you want some real training, teach a class.
Oh, 100,000.
I have a funny story about that. This is so funny. So when I was in college, I'm a senior, and I was doing a career fairs, and I was interviewing for jobs after graduation. And I went to this interview and with this recruiter, and in our, let's say, half an hour interview, he talked for 25 minutes of it. And I did the exact same thing. I was like, let him talk.
Don't ask me any questions.
Oh yeah, tell me more, and make him have a good feeling about me so that he would, recommend me. And he did. I ended up getting the job and all that. But yeah, I remember that exactly.
Take note. Too bad Gina's not here today because she teaches people how to interview. It'd be like, just get the interviewer to talk. You'll get the job. Don't ask me any questions. I love that. Anybody else want to share before we do mass chaos? Okay, we're going to do mass chaos. All right, Mark, let's do it. Okay. What mass chaos is, it's an exercise that's going to be done in the room with everybody. Everybody's going to get a chance. You can pass if you want. I recommend that you don't, because this is our safe place, right? This is where we practice stuff, and that's what we do here. Everybody gets 1 minute, and I'm gonna be count, like I'm actually gonna keep time, and we're gonna do a minute. Mark, if you could actually do that piece, that would be awesome. Can you do a minute every time, because you're timing? You get 1 minute, you got one word. So we're going to kind of do it improv style where somebody throws out a word. And when it's your turn to go, all the rest of us there's going to be chaos. You can react. You can tell them to go up. You can tell them to go down. And Rose, like, let's say you're the one going. Rose, you're talking and you're looking at the whole audience, and you get to choose what you ignore. If they're like Mark and Leffert are like up, and Karen's like down, you get to choose. And people might be reacting. People might be doing whatever. Mass chaos. You have to adapt to whatever, and you get to choose. So there's a lot of things going on in the environment. Everybody else, it's our job to react. Okay. To either, not everybody has to be the one pointing up or down. If you see somebody else doing it, maybe let them do it, or maybe jump in and go down. Maybe be more aggressive about it. Maybe react. Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah, exactly. Maybe be like, you got one word, 1 minute. I'm going to throw out the first word, and then as people go, we can do whatever. Who wants to go first? And I'm going to give you a word. You don't get to know the word first. You just have to. Trevor, was that like, I'll do it? Like, is that what that means?
No, Lorraine's the lady. She's the one who wants to talk. Lorraine.
Lorraine, are you okay to go first?
No. I'm driving. I'll
Right.
pass.
All right. She'll, I don't know where you're gonna land, but you can let us know when you're ready to go, Lorraine. All right, who wants to go first? Lefford, thank you, Lefford. Brave soul. Okay. Mark, get ready to give him a minute. Lefford, unmute. I'll give you your word. Everybody else be ready to help Lefford with your chaos, okay? Lefford, you're gonna talk about the word tenacity, okay? So as soon as you start, you got a minute.
Tenacity. One part about Lefford Fate is that I am going to stick to that thing, whether it's here, whether it's there. I'm going for all of it. I'm not going to just stick with the things that I like. I'm going to stick with the things that I don't like, because it's really easy to stick to the things that you don't like, right? Even when you're in a situation where you're talking and you're trying to figure out life, I'm always going to stick to it. Now, Kathy, you remember that time we were getting ready for the TEDx Charleston thing? You remember that? Because it's tight. There was plenty of times for me to quit that. Karen, I feel you, because sometimes when you got a sister like Kathy, it's like really difficult to do stuff, right? It's a thing. I get it. Now it's 100%. I'm digging that hoodie, Chris. So
Time.
To it.
I don't know who's having more fun, Lefford or us. Good job, everybody. George, I love yours. You started off. Mark, you shared your screen. We're all just going wild.
I was like, I thought something went wrong. I was like, where'd they go?
I know. I'm like, why? Why am I going here? Okay.
I should have hung up on you, Lefford, like deleted you out of the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, such a good job. Such a good job. Okay. Okay. First of all, who wants to go? Let's get that out of the way. And then I'm going to prompt for a word. Who wants to go next? Cindy. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Who wants to give Cindy a word? By the way, Lefford, you did amazing. Good job. Just so good. Somebody
I'll give her a word. Procrastination.
Oh, I love. Great word, Lorraine. All right. Cindy, as soon as you start, Mark will start timing you. You got a minute.
I'm ready. Procrastination. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'll get to it in a minute. Oh, do you have that feeling? Have you ever had that feeling where you're just procrastinating and you just can't seem to get stuff done? Well, one of the things I like to do is, one of the things I like to do is I like to use my planner at the beginning of the day to help me not procrastinate. And so I take notes and plan out my day. I script, and that helps me to not procrastinate. It's difficult sometimes because, let's face it, I'm like a dreamer, and and I get distracted easily.
Time.
And
Time.
I run in the big guns.
was really hard.
Oh, so much going on. Hi, Raji. I saw Raj in the background. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kathy.
Hi, Cindy. How's it going?
Okay. Let's let them talk now.
Oh my gosh, Cindy, you did such a great job. I like it. You said, hold on a minute. I love that opening. That was so good. That was so good. George, you're killing the game. You're killing the background game and bringing in stuff. Rose, you are too. This is so good. So good. Y'all are doing great. You know what?
I have to say I'm guilty. I turned Cindy's camera off.
Oh, you did. Oh, you turned your camera off. Ah, look at the host can do the mean things too, right?
I was wondering what happened to her, because I was like, I don't see anybody talking. I wanted to see how she responded to Raj.
Oh, that is so funny. Such a great job. One of the things I love about this is, remember how I said at the beginning, you have to think about all the things that can go wrong. There's so much going on in this room. It's like you have to kind of stay steady and think about what you're going to react to and what you aren't going to react to. Awesome. All right, who wants to go next?
Friends, I have to jump. This has been awesome. Kathy, thank you so much for the
Yeah,
invite.
you're
Y'all
welcome.
are so inspiring, super fun.
Come back
I'll
again,
hope to visit
Rose.
again. Okay, bye
Yeah.
friends.
Bye, Rose.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go next? Rose is like, I'm out. I'm not trying to do this.
Go.
Teresa, awesome. All right.
Let's
So
hand it off.
word for Teresa. What do we got for Teresa? I got one. Fun. Fun. Your word is fun. I think Teresa knows a little something about fun. So, all right.
Oh, fun, 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 fun. We all love fun. I have fun down deep in my heart. Hi, Kathy. I love having fun. Look at us. This is great. Mark, how are you today, brother? You look a little down. Hey, I know he's having fun. Ruff, ruff, ruff. George. Oh, wait a minute. Why are you sticking your tongue out at me? I don't know. And is that a nun, Chris? It looks like a nun. Not really sure. Trevor, what you doing, bro? Right here, right here. We're having so much fun. And Cindy, how are you? Oh, I'm sorry. Is this offending you? Are you not really happy? Cindy, all I can say is maybe you need to have just a little more.
Time.
Thank you. I don't know what I was going to say after that. I was like,
Oh, Teresa, great job. You did such a good job of calling on people in the room. I love that. So good. So good.
thanks for the good word.
Yeah,
So,
it is a good one.
Kathy, I gotta bounce.
Yeah, no worries.
My best friends, can I call Maya?
Bye, everybody.
Karen.
My best friends, can I call Maya?
Too bad. Karen, I'm gonna tell you all a quick story. Karen did the eyeball thing. Every time I get my phone back when I'm around Karen, if she takes a picture, I have like 10 pictures of up her nose or right on her eyeball. I swear to God, I have a bunch of them. So when I was getting married, I was doing like a really big slideshow of like John and I with pictures of family. And I threw in a couple of pictures of up Karen's nostrils because she's always putting that on people's phones. So when she did that, I was like, oh yeah, that's her signature. That's her signature thing. All right, who wants to go next?
I'm going before this gets even worse.
Because George, you've made it pretty bad. Like not bad, but you've thrown in the mix of the chaos. It's awesome. All right, who wants to give George a word? Let's give him a word.
Snowball.
Ooh, snowball. I like it. All right. Whenever you're ready, George, you go and Mark will time you.
The dog man. The dog man on our block, 145th Street, didn't fail. It could rain, it could sleet, and then, my friends, it snowed. Exactly. Right. And the day it snowed, I figured it's time for me to say hi with a snowball. And it just so happens at that age, exactly, I shaped it just like that pizza because I could never get a snowball just right. And I launched this thing, friends. Yes, I see you laughing. I thought it was funny too. And it wasn't so funny because it hit him in his eye and it broke his glass. Yeah, it was. So that I went from smiling to running. Yeah, exactly. I was real sad. I wasn't just sad, I was in trouble. I was punished. No more TV for me either. It was crazy. And it was
Time.
wild.
The TV into it. Oh, that was so good, George. I love Trevor's like over here on his phone. Snowmen are coming up. That was awesome. Awesome was coming up. It was amazing. That's so good. So good. All right.
Baby shark.
Oh, so fun. This is so fun to listen to the stories and how they're adjusting. Who wants to go next? Trevor, Chris, Mark, you and I could go. Chris, okay.
Let's
All
get
right.
it over with.
Let's get it over with. Buckle up. This is gonna be fun. All right, what do we got for Chris? I got a word for Chris.
Let's hear.
I got a word for Chris. Fuckery. That's
Oh, fuckery. I fucking love fuckery. Let me tell you about fuckery.
all right.
Trevor, you do not have enough going on in your screen right now. Like, oh, okay, we're getting there. Okay. Oh, Mark, you're bringing it. Oh, I'm supposed to bring it down, apparently. George, we got to flip you upside down, brother, because you're not having a good time, and I can tell. I am the king of. There we go. Caution, fuckery ahead. I love it. That is. Oh, Lefford, you're doing the side to side thing. I don't got you. What's going on here? You got to get in the frame here. Oh, there's a little bit of fuckery. I can get down with that. Teresa, what you got going? Cindy, oh, I don't got Cindy. She's reading the book. She's kind of checked out. Let's make sure she's okay. Maybe the fuckery's aimed at me. Oh, I don't know about the fuckery. Trevor, does this feel like Kathy's browser tabs a few days ago? It's that level of fuckery. Oh, Mark's giving me the silence. This is like very overstimulating when it comes. I never thought fuckery would stimulate me
Time.
that much.
Time.
Oh, look at
Wait, how
George.
does George finding all
George
the
just have a
people?
whole like fuckery like folder.
Yeah, exactly, Teresa. What is this, George? You were like ready. You were like, oh, fuckery. Oh, I got fuckery. I got fuckery images all day long. Oh my God, I love that. Oh, this is so fun. So fun. All right.
That was like being in a conversation with the students that I work with.
Right? A barrage of just like energies and emotions and things and all kinds of stuff. This is very fun. All right. Who wants to go next? Actually, I think let's just do one more, Mark, I think, and then because I want to have enough time to debrief on this. I think there's a lot of
Trevor.
cool stuff. So Trevor,
Trevor.
I don't know what you're gonna get out of me.
well,
'Cause I black out when I'm talking, so I don't see shit anyway. So
right, awesome.
fucking
Let's
do
get-
whatever the fuck you want. It don't matter to me.
all right. So,
I don't
You're
give
going
a
for a
fuck about
granny.
what nobody fucking looks like. Fuck y'all, man. If you don't want to listen to what I'm saying, go fuck yourself.
oh my God, I love this.
Are you serious? Yeah, this is it right there. Listen to that guy. That everything fucking blacked out up there. What do you want to talk about? Some bullshit right there. Listen, watch that crap.
Oh, this is so great. Oh, look at this.
So
Oh,
mad. He's so mad right there.
he's so
You
mad.
wanna- Look, I wanted to like commentary. I wish Snoop could like comment on this. Would be fucking awesome. He'd be like, look at this motherfucker up here. This motherfucker come out here and do this shit. There ain't another motherfucker from the hood coming and doing this shit like this motherfucker did. Let me tell you. This guy's great. Man, if he could just lift some more weights, it'd be so much better. I always think like, man, how could this guy been through so much and have all that gray hair? And his wife didn't make him put something in his hair to make his hair darker. That's what my daughter would say. It's like, come on, you went up there in front of thousands of people and your hair looks like shit. I don't know. Can't even put on a tie right. Like he goes up there like Steve Jobs on that stage and he didn't even move around on that X. Come on. Doesn't even use his hands. He's out there. They might as well just put him. And then, then there's people crying, not even paying attention. There's some doctors in the stage that don't even know what I'm saying.
Time.
The worst event ever. Get this guy off. Get this guy off. I want to hear Jizza.
Oh my God, I love it. Good job, Trevor. We didn't even have to give you a word. Oh my God, look at the crying baby,
Yeah,
George.
yeah.
Oh, hilarious. Oh, so good, so good.
Oh, wow. This was great.
Oh, I love Leffert, you are the hero for putting his own. He's like, I don't care, I black out, and then you put him up there.
So now you get to hear all the things that I think in my head about that.
That was your word, right? Is like inside Trevor's, the mind of Trevor, right? Oh my God, that's so good, so good. I love it.
Great.
Oh, so fun, everybody. All right, let's debrief, y'all. What? tell me how this was today. Tell us like how this was. And I always love the really good takeaway. If there's something that you're like, oh, this really made me think of how I'm gonna, like, this is what I'm gonna bring back into my speaking or into my life. I'd love to hear about that.
So I think that what the comment that Rose says is this, like, if I could do this up and down thing 2 hours, 3 times a week, like that is working a part of me that I really need to work on to be able to go super intense, then super broad, and then be able to react to something and essentially people, right? So I think that it's really good that like, and finding new ways to do it is gold. So dude,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Love that. Love it.
I like the point that you made, Kathy, when it came to something that you're describing where your audience, something was going on that was very important, but you didn't give it attention. You didn't give it life. And that's beautiful. That's actually the environment that I'm in. I'm in a lot of recovery stuff. I'm in a lot of youth stuff. And in longhouses, what that made me think of is it made me think of an elder who was speaking on the floor at the longhouse, and a child was getting disruly, whatever you want to call it. And he called that person out and the feelings that came in the room. Like he set the energy in that room. But it made me think of that, of how I want to, who I want to be when I'm in those environments. And I don't want to be that elder. I actually probably would do what you did and draw all of the attention so that the other person isn't getting that negative attention.
Yeah. I love that, Chris, a lot. I love that.
Yeah, I like appropriate response to what goes on in the room, because there is a thing where if something goes on and if you don't pay attention to it at all, it's just as distracting. So
Yeah.
if somebody says something or does something, you work with it. I remember you were telling a story about how Ryan Avery was doing it and you were throwing things and all this other stuff. I think that's helpful, because if you don't deal with disruption when you practice, sometimes you'll be screwed because stuff's gonna happen. So I like this exercise, and I want to put more of it into my life.
I love that, Leffer. It makes me think too that, like, saying sometimes you need to address it. Like if somebody's phone rings and you're in the middle of a keynote, you could say something funny about that. Tell my mom I'll call her back. It's the third time she's called today. Jeez. Like whatever. Just so that, because everybody's hearing it, it's super loud or whatever. But and sometimes you can decide, like Chris says, I love that. It's like having that intention of like, don't make somebody feel bad if something happened. Like if somebody drops something, like don't make them feel bad that, everybody's already going to be looking their way anyway. So just don't give that attention. I like that.
I like
Yeah,
the fact
just
that, oh, sorry, Trev.
go ahead.
That we have, like, even though you had disruptive things, it's not always a bad thing, right? Like we laughed so much doing it. Sometimes remembering that there can be humor and the unexpected is really important. So, except for Leopard, so he's so serious down there. He's like, what you talking about? I got it.
I love that, Teresa. There's humor in the unexpected. Trevor, what are you gonna say?
I mean, just because Ledford had to play that damn fucking TEDx talk, it takes me that at that moment, like I didn't think that I would be blinded by the lights in the stadium or in the Keller auditorium. And I look up to the third floor and it's just bright lights in me. And then I look down at the audience and it's just black. And I don't see anything. I'm just going with it. And I don't know. So like those little things that like that environment thing that's happening, because like if they change the lights and all that, how's that make you feel and how you respond to that? Like that's for me, like that's what I would think of, just like people opening doors and there's different light hitting your face that the audience doesn't see but you see.
Yeah. I love that.
I get that, Trev. That sounds like a Facebook Live that I did that I crashed in for one of the resorts I was working at. It's the unanticipated things that you wouldn't think would be a thing that throw you off, and how do you adapt or how do you lean into it? That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you said that.
But I think it's all experience, right? It's just
I was just gonna say,
put yourself out there and learn with it and do your best to, it's just, you can't fall apart. Just know that, like, and I think the greatest thing I think I got from speaking at TED, and you might have said this, Kathy, is that the audience doesn't know what you don't tell them.
Yeah, totally. And Trevor, I will.
And
Oh,
so, I mean, if you like hold on to that inside, then really, like, really can't ever go wrong.
yeah, Cindy, I'll have you go next, but I want to just say something about Trevor's talk really quick. Trevor, I think I'm always coaching people specifically for the Keller, because I've been coaching for TEDx Portland now over 10 years. And I'm like, oh, those lights are intense. You've got to be ready for that. But look at how prepared you were. And so you could adapt to that environment. Any of you all who have watched Trevor's talk, you can't tell that Trevor was like, who the fuck is out there right now? Like, it's, you can't, because he had prepared so much so he could adapt in that moment.
Yeah. But you can see that and see me look up, because you can see my green eyes and you're like, you can see, I know when it happens because it's right there. Because I look way up and I'm like back down. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but we don't know.
I thought you had a moment.
Yeah,
when
me
you
too.
did that.
Like,
It wasn't like
yeah,
you were caught. It was just like,
it wasn't like a, oh God, it was like, I agree, Leffert. It's
yeah, it
more
was like,
feels like a moment more than a reaction to something.
Yeah. But when I put my hand in front of my face when I'm about to talk about my kids, I'm about to start to cry. That's why I like do that.
Oh, when you like, yeah. Cindy, go ahead.
It made me think of just this idea of all the elements, like you said, like sound equipment going out or lighting or all these things that you can't, and how do you really prepare for that? Because I know when I used to tour around with my son Dalton, and there was always things happening, for him with performances. Like he did the national anthem at a football stadium, and they had the inner ear when he practiced ahead of time. Like they had him practice ahead of time and everything, and he had the ear pieces in or whatever, because there was such a bad echo. So you had to have those. And they were too big for his ears because he was like 12. And so they taped him with duct tape to his ears so they would stay in. And then they stopped working in the middle. And like, it's just him. There's no music, right? It's just him. And you think about like things like that happening, and he just kept going with it, and there's just all these things, like they had him, told him to stretch, like, and so and then they wanted him to speed it up. And like, there's all these, because they were trying to time it with jets, right? There's all these things like in performances. And I never really thought of it that way until we did this, like that there could be all those kinds of things that happen as a speaker that could be really, really distracting. And how do you sort of prepare or think about that? So I liked what you said at the beginning about think of what could go wrong and try to think, how would you handle that? And I think that's really great advice. I really loved that.
Love it.
You all had me thinking about talking about going in and out, and I know we were talking about technology, but the first thing that came to my mind was when people walk into the room late, and sometimes that's a disruption, or when somebody has to get up and leave, whether it be because they have to go to the bathroom or they're just leaving, and how much that can be a distraction. And how do you adjust to that?
Yeah, Mark, Rose was just in this thing that I did here, and it was like a lunch and learn. They call it like the brown bag series. And I was doing a little thing. In the middle of me talking, two people got up and left. And I know it's not me. They probably had a meeting, they had lunch. And one of the guys, when I walked over there, was like, oh, this was so good. And he was one of the guys that got up and walked away. You have to just kind of know that. But he was right in the front row. He like literally almost got right up in front of me and walked through. And so you have to be able to respond and adjust to something like that. And that's a Chris moment, right? Where you're like, you just ignore that because you keep talking. I love how much everybody showed up today. I just want to say that. I was gonna start us off, right, Mark? I was gonna start us off with thinking about how we relate to our environment and where in our audience, which is the low level fruit, but we quickly did like level 10 fast, you know, and everybody showed up, and I think the things that we ended up doing were really fun and engaging, but like there was something deeper that happened here today that, like, Cindy, I love the last thing that you just said. It's like, we really should be thinking about this. We're going to show up better. It doesn't always have to be like you're singing in a football stadium or you're on a stage. Chris has conversations with kids all the time. Lefford, you're speaking on stages a lot. Mark, you're in various places, right? So yeah, I personally love the things that how deep it went today. George.
I misspelled 3 words in the chat on purpose because it got me thinking about being online and how that, when I am delivering a talk, delivering a workshop, how that becomes a distractor for me. So what this did for me today was, okay, in this space of technology, how does that impact me? Where I'm trying my best to make sure I'm honoring the audience's voice. And I noticed that when something, and it's never one word. I did that to be playful and silly. But when it's like grammar that I can't really pick up on and time is ticking, and I'm really trying to gauge what the person is saying and how do I reference that and or sorry, reframe it or ask and not take too much time and pull away from my train of thought. So these are all of the things that I started thinking about, in addition to, you just let me go 45 minutes with something in my nose and just things that have happened to me throughout the years. Like my pants were ripped and I'm like, damn, nobody said nothing. Or, I should have checked, or my socks are mismatched. I mean, these are all the things that have happened to me. Oh, and a few times, right? So lack of preparation. But in the tech space, it got me really thinking about what really distracts me. I've seen people in chats correcting other people and it becomes a conflict. And I'm like, ooh, so that's kind of why I was playing with that as well. So I just wanted to share what that did for me as well. So
I love that.
George, I'm laughing because something you just said reminded me. Today's my classroom stories. So I'm teaching a unit on public speaking, and I'm telling them about stories. And I'm telling them that, yeah, you can make up a story, but there's nothing like a true, authentic story, something that actually happened to you. And I tell them one of my favorite stories. And for this story, I climb up onto the chair and onto the desk. And I heard rip. My pants split from the back to the front. And it's so early in the class. And for the rest of the class, I'm walking with my legs so close. It was so bad that after the class was over, I had to run to the department store and get a new pair of pants.
I have this visual of how you'd be walking around the class, Mark.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yep.
Awesome time, everybody. Awesome time.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy, this isn't for today, but it's for the trip to
Thank you for reminding
Portland.
me. Yes, thank you. Oh my God, thank you for the reminder. Okay, y'all, Leffert and I were talking yesterday. For anybody that wants to be part of our very first ever Speaker Skills Academy, special event, we're doing the TEDx Portland thing. I need to know ASAP if you can come to Portland. So you'll have to cover, your cost of coming to Portland and the ticket, but I think I can get a group. Like Trevor said, I think I can get a group ticket. I told Leffert, I'm like, I'm getting a little scared because TEDx Portland always sells out. And right now it might not even be that we could all sit together, which would suck. Because we sell our tickets fast. But I need to know, like, in the next day or two, who wants to do that. And if anybody wants to stay at my house, and Leffert is 100% yes, I know. Okay. just, you can shoot me an email or whatever, and I'll send out an email about that too, but we will, what the plan, I think I've already said it, but I'll say it again. The plan is that TEDx Portland happens on April 27th. It's a Saturday. It's an all day long thing. There's usually like a cool after party. They always have like famous, like, you know, we had Jizza and we had Wu-Tang Clan last year. Like we always have some big music name. So that will be like an all day long thing. We'll probably wake up the next morning, have breakfast together and have an all day debrief, fun, cool thing. We'll probably do it at my office because it's here, like it's a really cool spot. And so we'll have a fun, creative debrief day. And we'll talk about all the things that we saw in the TEDx Portland thing. So does anybody have any questions? Chris, I know you can't come to the TEDx Portland thing because you have something that day, but let me know if you can come to the next day or if the whole weekend's out, the Sunday thing. Because there's like a Saturday and Sunday, right? Saturday's the all day, the TEDx Portland, and then Sunday will be the next day. And we might even do, Lefford, I know you were talking about, I'm also down for this. On Monday, if people aren't flying out, I'm also down to take everybody do my Kathy's Famous Waterfall tour. Yeah. So if people want to stay an extra day as well, so. So Cindy, you can.
I can't come.
Out to travel too. Bye, Cindy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't come. Faith is having wrist surgery on the 26th.
Okay.
And she put it off because Jim's having surgery this month and he's got 6 to 8 weeks out. And then she waited. She was like patient. But can I tell you that there were many tears of cry? I hated both my husband and my child.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
like, I can't believe the two of you. Cannot believe the two of you.
You're like, what are you doing to my life? What is this?
Huh?
You're like,
I'm missing like our largest conference in my society. Like for my, it's like 50,000 people like this conference and it's all networking. And people are like, what do you mean you're not going to be there? Like, we expect you to like come in and talk and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I can't come.
Yeah.
And so, but you know what? There's always an opportunity in everything that happens. So we're going to exploit it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm taking Teresa's room. So that's my opportunity.
Yeah. Hell yeah, Lorraine. And Teresa, maybe what we could do is bring you into the room for some of it. So if you want to,
that would be cool.
I could do that. Like you can watch the live stream of TEDx Portland. That's another option. We have it. We only live stream it the day it happens, I think. And so if anybody who can't make it live, you can watch it and then you can be in the room the next day.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it. That's great. I love the pivot, right? We got to change.
We got to adapt.
Yeah.
Adapt.
Yeah.
Mark, I know you need to go. I'm not trying to.
I do, but I got to hear. Lefford was going to say something, and I feel like I cannot miss it.
No. Very early on, Teresa and I had a little competition about who was first or second going. I wasn't gonna say nothing. That's a lie. I was gonna say something.
You were second, and I know it. I know it in my heart.
Teresa, tell your people I say thank you that they're not my people.
Mark, you were right to stay on.
I was right.
He's always got something good to say.
Well, have a good night, everybody.
All right, bro.
Bye, Mark.
Kathy, I will touch base with you for details because I'm really considering it now. So
okay. Yeah. It will be an amazing, awesome thing. I also was just telling everybody, I know I don't think you've heard this before, George, but I just moved into a really big house. We did it for our grandkids so that they'd have so we have a pretty big space. So I was like, we have 2 guest rooms, but we also have a big space. So if anybody wanted to crash, because I know usually when you go somewhere, the biggest cost is not like the travel, it's where you stay.
Oh,
so
cool.
I know Chris could probably hook people up too. Chris is like in the hospitality, space. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. I'm not gonna put that on you, Chris. I'm just saying but yeah, it'll be super great. So happy to host people as well. But yeah, but I do need to know for the TEDx Portland tickets ASAP. So
Lefford, if by chance that my daughter's surgery gets canceled, goodbye. I'm still number one.
I
Still
know,
number
you
one.
are number one. I'm just saying.
I'm just arm wrestling you for that. That's what he's saying. Right? It's on.
I just
on.
remember the conversation. Like,
Lorraine
were.
jumped in, was like, hey, both y'all, I don't know.
I think you guys should paper, rock, scissors right now.
I think you should.
I'm just gonna be there. I'm just saying, and I got you. I'll record it for you because
Yeah.
that's how I am.
That's
how I am.
Oh, love
Oh
it.
my gosh.
All right.
Awesome. All right.
No, it'll be awesome. And Teresa, we'll definitely, we can talk about that. If you can't come, we can definitely have you in the room. That would be amazing.
Well, I'm really am like heartsick and like FOMO. Like I don't mind missing the other conference, but like I really wanted to go because
No, you want to hug some of these people, right?
I do. I want to
Like-
see them and know them. And I mean, there's nothing like two spirits connecting, like in real life, right? Like exchanging energy, like that's the thing. So, I'm really sad not to be with you guys. You guys are like family. Like I see you 3 times a week. I see you more than most people I see in my life. So
break her other wrist now so that she has to get, I'm just kidding.
I was like,
You remember that worst mother in the world thing?
Yeah, I'm
you
gonna
might
get
win.
down.
Like,
Yeah, right. Let me
you
just
just
bust
got
you
to
up
take
right
one for the
here.
team, baby.
That's
Take
it.
one for the team.
You're like, sorry, yo.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I
Awesome.
gotta go cook some dinner.
Yeah,
All
sounds
right.
good.
Y'all
All right,
have a great
everybody.
night.
Have a good night. Take care.
Thanks.
Let me know.
Bye.
I'll see you all on Friday.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Bye now. See you.
All right.